Hi, Sean. Thanks for joining.
Hey Nergish, how are you?
Very well indeed. Thank you. Like I keep saying, the sun's shining at my end, so I'm happy,
The
basically.
same, the same here, and it's great to be with you today. Thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure, really. I know you've had a very busy day. You've had to reorganize stuff, but thank you for doing that.
Not
I'm
at all.
actually talking to all the sort of icons in the industry that basically have a PHAB Service Star. And it's about standards and excellence in the industry. And I wanted to have a conversation with all of you, each of you individually, because I actually believe that there is an innate connection. Certainly, I have an innate connection with people that have standards instilled in them. Sometimes I feel that, of course, standards can be learned. But I think when people surpass their expectations and they go on to having several businesses, etc., we see the hard work, but I want to find out where that spark starts. And that for me is a very interesting place to go to. Sometimes people say it's parents, sometimes they say it's their boss, but I actually believe there are people with that innate quality in them as well.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you that question first and foremost after I formally introduced you. So
Okay.
you're Sean Taaffe, and you're an extraordinary hairdresser based in the Republic of Ireland, of course, but you have three businesses and in County Kerry, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right,
And
in the
so
south of Ireland.
of course, and it's a beautiful part of the world as well. Actually, I've seen some beautiful scenery down there. But if you wouldn't mind telling us about your three little businesses and how they're placed, and
Yeah, of course.
just
So my salons are not what you would call urban. They're all in a little triangle within about I'm converting to miles, within about 20 miles of each other,
right.
in County Kerry. Two of them are in urban towns, but they wouldn't be cities, and one is in a small town, what you probably call a village.
Right.
We have there's 50 of us, a team of 50 between the three salons. And I'm in business, and I say I am in business since 1989, which is what, 33 years this year. But the company that we would know is in existence since 2006. Up until that, I was, the sole trader with two people with me, and so on.
So which towns are you in? Or
Killarney, which a lot of people might have heard of as it's almost like the tourist capital of Ireland.
right.
Killarney, Tralee, and Killorglin. So all in County Kerry.
Brilliant. I've been very fortunate to meet your team because
Yes.
we've met at training. But what I will say to you is that I have, it sometimes it happens that people absorb training and actually put it into practice. And I have observed that with you. I can honestly say that it felt very satisfactory during lockdowns to see people still working on standards, still looking forward when all around was blurred and negative, and that skill that you had to say, actually, it's a good time to do this. So that comes from a place of excellence and standards. So what I'd like to ask you now is, where did that spark start for you about wanting to be the best? Did it come later in life? Did it come early in life? All yours.
I think, like you said there about parents, definitely for me, there was always that thing, driven home about if a job's worth doing, it's worth doing well. Don't be cutting corners in every way, shape, and form. So I think it probably started there. But I did have an opportunity to think about this for a few minutes, and I think for me, because I did my training in what I would call a non-urban environment, there was always that kind of maybe a feeling of inadequacy in a way that you're not quite as good as say in Ireland we say Dublin, or if you're in London or whatever. So there was kind of almost that desire to kind of prove actually, I'm as good as you, you know, and not in a cocky way. It was more kind of to say I'm level with you, not that I'm better than you, you know.
But it was for yourself, right? It was for your own self-belief, and how
Yes,
wonderful, how
yes,
wonderful.
yeah.
Because it has so much synergy. What we try and do at the PHAB Service Stars is that I've said it 100 times. It's okay for me to say it one more time. The best hairdressers aren't necessarily found only in the Londons, the New Yorks, the Parises, the Tokyo. They're everywhere. They're all
Yes.
around us.
Yes.
And so I hope that eventually, when it's very busy, that we do give that feeling to people that, you know what, there is a way to actually measure something.
Yes.
And so, you know, the fundamental measuring of our stars is to make sure that no one gets left behind, regardless of where they're based.
Yes.
And so that was the whole point. So how wonderful. So there's some synergy. Now let's go to the next thing then. So you turned it into reality in your first shop. And where was that? The Killarney one?
That was in Killorglin. That's the smallest town. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So in Killorglin, would you say that, where did the next bit of drive come from to say, that's not enough, I'm going to have another place?
Yeah, I cut my teeth for quite a long time, as it were. I was open for 17 years before I actually, you know, kind of expanded. And I think if I'm honest, you know, I had brought the business to as far as it could go. You know, we were booked out 3 months in advance. If I wanted to go on a holiday, everything kind of stopped. And I kind of felt, you know, am I happy here, you know, as in I can't develop it anymore, and as soon as I stop, the business stops, you know. So it was more a kind of a commercial I suppose decision, and then coupled with, I suppose, a certain ambition to say, right, okay, I can be in 10 years or 20 years time exactly where I am now. Will that serve me financially, and will it serve me kind of in my head? Will I be happy to look back and be there? And the answer to both of those was no. You know, so I went from having owning the premises I was in a small town with 7 other salons, you know, booked up, as I say, for months in advance, to going to take on a lease of a premises, a €300,000 fit out, a 25-year lease with no clients, because obviously it was a different town. So everybody thought I was bonkers. But I just I knew in my head it had to be done.
It's incredible, absolutely incredible. I mean, it's getting an insight into people's, not stories, but into their way of thinking, which is brilliant about this. So yes, so, and then you of course started developing, etc. Can I now talk about, you have the standards. How difficult was it to get everyone up to your level? And you are allowed to swear in this.
Yeah, well, you know me, and when I actually start talking, unfortunately, the odd one slips out. I have to say, I think probably in the last 10 years, I'm easier to work with. I think I probably was a little bit of an asshole at times, just because, you know, for me, I'm happy to show somebody 100 times or help them in any way, shape, or form. But what I can't deal with is when if someone can't do it, fantastic, we show you. Yes. If you can do it and don't perform consistently, that just drives me bonkers. Correct. And I always have the saying, and I say it to every staff member and stylist, and I think I've said it to you before. I tell the team, you know, when you're finishing your client, if Vidal Sassoon, no, God, God rest him, he was alive when I first started saying this.
Of course.
If he was outside the door, would you be happy to walk your client out and say, Vidal, I did this?
Right.
And if you're not, then the client shouldn't be getting off the seat. And for me, that brings it back to the mediocrity, that if you're able to do it, but you're not doing it because you couldn't be bothered, it's like, no.
Got it.
So
yeah,
what you're saying is how hard was it? I think probably, my kind of fieriness in the earlier days probably didn't kind of serve me well. Right. Whereas, as time goes on, you can learn to kind of bring people with you rather than dragging them with you. And I would say I'm really lucky that I have a great team with me now, who I would say want to be there. I would hope they want to be there rather than being afraid to leave, And
I can safely say, yes, they want to be there, having met them all. So, wow, that's a good one. And let's go on to what's happening new for you and your business in 2022. So I know that you won't sit still. That much I know about you. I don't think you're the let me sit still for a minute type of person. So undoubtedly, I think there's lots of brewing that's new. Did you want to start with your salon, or did you want to start with, well, start anywhere you like?
Yeah, well, I'll just come back very briefly what you said about it during lockdown, sure. About, kind of, planning ahead and stuff. To be honest, it wasn't that unique business person planning ahead. It was trying to make sense of chaos. And the only way to do that is literally have a plan. Otherwise, everything converges on top of you. So that was, say, last year. And that's why, we're delighted to utilize the time. And I know you were doing a lot of management and staff training, which was brilliant. And it set us up for this year, But in terms of what's ahead for us for this year, we're launching our own product range in hopefully in June. We've been developing for 2 years, so we're just in packaging design at the moment. All the products are done, so that's going to be the biggest thing for us.
Yes.
And God knows how it's going to go.
Oh, I think it's going to go well. Just go with your same attitude of educate them, educate them, educate them. Not just in the what's different about the product, benefits about the product, but it's just education every time. You won't go wrong. Yeah. And then and I know that's your philosophy anyway. So then going ahead with the product is a brilliant idea, because it actually puts something that people can take away at home, and it gives you a proper new revenue stream. Yes. And managing that properly is very important as the next step, given the fact that you already have 3 businesses. So I think that's very wise. Is there anything that you're doing new to keep your current customers engaged with you? Is there something happening on that front as well?
Yeah, well, we kind of started something. It was just more a personal passion of mine. Right. Everybody starts new year with great intentions, me included, and I'm usually the first one to fall off the wagon in February, so I got together with a couple of people and just said, look, how in my head, what can we do that would be good, that will help the business, but actually isn't too self-serving, if that makes sense. Yes. So what we decided was completely free for clients and non-clients, to be honest. We started off a weekly Zoom personal training session that anybody could sign up to. So every Monday night for 6 weeks, we've got that hour. And then every Wednesday evening, I interview a different person. So we started off with a life and wellness coach on week 1 in January. And then we had a nutritionist on, okay? This week, as in tomorrow evening, or this evening, sorry. We're at Wednesday, I don't know what day I have. We actually have somebody going through women's self-defense, just for,
Self-defense.
yes.
Amazing.
Yeah, so in current times, it's something that's quite important. And then next week we have a fashion stylist on talking to us, and then the following week we bring the personal trainer and the life coach back in to help talk and plan people's rest of year. So it's just something to kind of start people off in a positive way. It's a good association for our brand. And yes, people don't feel like they're having to pay or sign up to something. It's just there. If you want it, you want it. And if you don't, you don't,
Bravo. What can I say? What an exciting start to 2022. It'll get a lot of interest from generally the areas that you're in. How fantastic. Very, very lucky clients.
Yeah, and there's good press reaction to it so far as well, so yeah.
Would you say that collaboration, because that's my thing basically, I'm just asking people to collaborate all the time now, because going towards 2022, because we don't know what's in store yet, if anything, I think it's a good idea to work with people that share your values.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be ingrained into hair and beauty and wellness and nails and, barbering and whatever else, basically, spas. It just has to do with the general well-being and happiness around, because that's the business we're in. You cut hair to make people happy. Basically, you do facials to make people feel happy and enhance well-being and stuff. It's not, honestly, it's not Einsteinish.
Yeah.
It's just that you've just taken it that step further to say, well, let's introduce that to everyone and take it. Brilliant. Love it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as a hairdresser, I mean, I know you're all hair and beauty, but if you had the choice of somebody coming up to you after your service and saying, there's 20 quid, or else coming up to you and saying, oh my God, Nergish, I absolutely love my hair, I've never felt better. I know for me, that's what I would choose.
Yes, of course.
20 quid, do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, yeah.
But no, that sounds fantastic, basically. So well done on that. What a lovely thing to do. Your product line is going to keep you busy. And my God, is it going to keep you busy, because to get that off and moving, fantastic. Then last but not least, I guess I would have to ask you, something interesting happened, and it's happened in 3 places now only so far. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, yours was the 3rd place to come in and do that. In fact, it wasn't for the lack of trying. You would have been the 2nd person to try it, but it's just that the young lady in question hadn't been in the country long enough. Otherwise, you would have been 2nd to pitch it. And this is the side effect of having a PHAB Service Star and what it does for your own team. And so far, only 3 businesses have had that effect. And I can see that more are now starting to do it. But I'd like to ask you, what effect did it have on someone that is, I guess, working for you? And then clearly they've observed you. And firstly, did you feel we supported you enough?
Oh, 100%. I mean, even down to the likes of, the press releases and stuff, that had huge impacts, even for someone, the salons that use press and PR and so on. So, you cannot beat that type of publicity without an angle, if you know what I mean.
Yes, absolutely.
And for us, it was absolutely fantastic. But in terms of what you're saying, the stylists that actually, there's one that we have and another one that's going for it. Like, the way I actually approached it was, I actually went to certain stylists and I said, you're actually doing really, really well. Would you ever think of applying for the Service Star that I have myself? And actually, both of them had the same reaction. And it was almost like, what? you think I'm worthy enough for it? Uh,
That's
and that,
exactly the reaction we want.
yeah, and that's the thing. And it's not a case of, oh, you know, you should do this or whatever. It's just actually having that conversation from the right place as a friend and a mentor, that I think you're great. I think
Good
you're
enough
good
to go
enough.
for it.
You should do this. Not like, oh, if you do this, you might bring up your average bill, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's just about, this is going to be really good for you as a person. It's going to recognize that you actually are way better than you think you are. You know, and to my mind, most people that are really, really good are actually the ones that don't think they're as good as they are.
There's
If you get me, it's reversed.
Always a little bit of self-doubt in experts, always
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And so you do question it. I mean, honestly, it happens to me and people are shocked. They will often say to me, do you get nerves when you just, and I said, I have terrible nerves just before I go on. So even I've been training for 22 years. But before I start my first sentence of training, my heart, if measured, I think would have exploded at that stage.
Yeah.
And it's that I know my job. I know what I have to do when I'm going on. But there is always this slight nagging, niggling thought in my head, which of course they say is good for you because it provides the hormone that basically charges you up and
The
you go
adrenaline.
out.
Yeah.
Adrenaline. And it's interesting that it still happens. I mean, literally, I just go, oh my God, I'm going to go into the audience and I speak at large expos and stuff.
Because you care.
It's because
if we didn't give a shit, we would actually walk out and not give a toss, because we wouldn't care if we were good, bad, or indifferent. It's because you care that there is that nerves, because you want to bring the best that you are. So whatever it is, Nergish, there's the odd time that I would approach a haircut that I'd be like, you know what, I thought I could be better last time. I want to do even better this time. You know, and I think the day you lose that,
get out of the business. Give up.
And
I think that is the case because, you know, the amount, you're right. The amount, my courses change. I give the same title, but the course I did when I started to, of course, through all of this, it just develops. And I think that's exactly what you were talking about when it came to a haircut. It's exactly that. So yes, I mean, that's incredible. So, wow, a second person's doing it in your salon. Then
she's going for it. We don't know whether she'll make it, but she's going for it.
I mean, that's the and the nice part is, I guess no one will know. No one will know. And that's the beauty about it, is that it's, you know, you do it, you get through, you announce it and you play with it. You don't, you go back, sort it out because we've given you a little bit of feedback.
And that happened with our first. And it was great to get the feedback. We were able to use it in our kind of performance planning and stuff. And everything comes together. I
have to say that she basically was with a dog with a bone. And I absolutely have to give that to her, that she knew she had the experience in another country. She knew she was good enough, and she was certainly. And she just wouldn't get it because she hadn't got the customers for long enough to be able to back her up.
Yeah, correct.
Wow, I have never seen such, and you know, that's the type of people we're trying to highlight. That really care about what they do to on the hair of the customer, you know, skincare and nails, and it's phenomenal to watch. And so I can honestly tell you that the part of my job that is most enjoyable now is seeing people come through the system. It's so joyful. Anyway, so I guess,
you know what it is, Nergish? It's when I say the cream rising to the top, not in an egotistical way. The hairdresser, the beauty therapist, the nail technician that cares, you know, it's not just about giving the best standard haircut or nails or whatever. It's the person that cares about their client so much that it's a whole package, and that's what's kind of unique about the Service Star. It's not just about, oh my God, that's an unreal haircut. I know loads of amazing hairdressers that have no clients.
Yes, yes,
because their client care is shit. Yeah.
Thank you. Normally, I am the one that swears a lot.
Yeah, sorry.
But you've taken it from me this time. So, my God, I mean, in a nutshell, you just described it. So that comes from Steve Martin has actually said once, and I mean, it's a quote that he's become famous for. And I'm not a person for quotes, a lot of them. There's just some significant quotes that I will always stick to for my path. And he says, be so good that they can't ignore you.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I know there's a hairdresser in Ireland, hi Niall, who has that as his tagline, actually. Yeah. So, yeah. Good.
So, and I do have to say that it describes everything about it, that don't do it for the recognition. That'll all come.
Yeah.
It will always come to you. But if you start by saying, I'm going to be the best that I can be. Yeah,
exactly. And be present, be there all the time with the client. You know, I think that's the biggest problem that people are, I'm saying duns, you know, that someone's in Primark doing the shopping while they're actually doing the haircut or beauty. You know, if you can remain present. Yeah.
It won't work in the long term. It doesn't work in the long term.
It's mediocrity at its best then.
It is. Because then you're not watching what you're putting all this effort in, and you just don't see the leaks.
Yeah.
Right.
So nothing worse than average.
Yeah.
You're better to be bad than average, to be honest. At least if you're bad, you've room to improve. Average is the worst, you know?
Yeah. So that other sentence for me is, I think mediocrity is the enemy.
Yeah.
So I think that's always been there. But you know, just a simple couple of lines to keep me focused really in life. Because you look at that sentence and you just think, am I doing this? And it's so easy to basically get there. So I guess we're towards the end of the interview, and I'd like to leave you to have the last word. So here, your customers may be listening to you. Here, your peers are definitely listening to you. Sorry, I am so sorry. I'm a time hound and a freak about things that I have to do on time. And so if you would leave the industry with the last word there, and give them sort of your thoughts on how you're approaching 2022, given a time of uncertainty.
Okay. I think whether you're a hairdresser or salon owner or beauty therapist, whatever you are, self-employed or working for somebody, I think there's so much kind of chaos and uncertainty out there. You can only control so much. And it comes back to what I just said about being present. You know, yes, you need to plan ahead, but more importantly than that, you're lucky enough to have that client in your chair right now. You know, treat her like she's the bride, teach her like she's, you know, your girlfriend's mother, whatever it is. You know, you want to impress them every single time. And just, you know, I know salons that have, like, you know, new client, different color gowns for new clients and all this kind of stuff. For me personally, I think that's a terrible idea, because I think you should be looking after your client like they're a new client every time, you know. And just, if you can just do that, spend a certain amount of time for your planning ahead, but put, you know, 80% of your time into just making sure you're doing a good job and wowing your client at whatever you do. You know, it's a surefire recipe for success, in my opinion. You know,
our industry, absolutely. In the hospitality industry, absolutely. Thank you for this time with you. It is always a joy to speak to you, and I guess I'll see you in 2022 at some stage.
100%. Nergish, thanks for having me on. And it's lovely to even be associated with some of the people that are before and after me. I feel like I'm a bit of a fraud on there, but I'm delighted that you have me on.
You are
Thank you.
most definitely not, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. And Sean Taaffe, thank you.
See you everybody. Thank you.
Bye.